Welcome to another team selection video ahead of Matchday 12. We're at the very business end of this season. I'm going to recap on how Matchday 11 went and then talk about what my plans are for the free transfers we have available to us. So let's get straight into this. I scored 78 points and I went from around 800 in rank to 769. So I'm very happy with where I'm at. I've been very consistent into the top 5k all season and even around the top 2k. But ultimately, I want to push on, hopefully into the top 500. But if not, I will definitely have learnt a lot from last season and there would be significant strides in each campaign. Now, as for my signings, Gabriel Jesus came in and scored and I just liked his form heading into that game. He obviously scored in the Premier League as well after this against Leeds. So he's in fine form at the moment. Will he start in the second leg against Real Madrid and both games in double game week 36? I don't think so. Now, I don't know where it's going to be, where he's benched. Now, I personally think he will start the second leg against Real Madrid, but then there would still be some doubts, and I can't tell you that with any conviction. Other than these three forwards that you see on screen and Vinicius Jr. and possibly Diego Jota, I'm not really a big fan of the other forwards, and even those that I would consider, like Roberto Firmino and Moreno, they are injured at the moment. Now, Benzema is in the form of his life. I think he's pretty much a must-have until he's out of the competition. That penalty was just absolutely amazing, you know. I mean, the form he's in, the confidence he has, you can do that even in such a high-pressure situation, and he can score against any single team. So I'm very happy to have kept him. And honestly, it was always going to be a debate between De Bruyne and Benzema for the captaincy on the first day. Now, I personally believe De Bruyne should have gotten the man of the match points and he would have been able to get 14 points in total, so 28 for me as the captain. So that was a shame they didn't get it and Bernardo Silva did instead. But ultimately, I did win out by 1 point, over Karim Benzema, but I'm happy to have both, of course. Diaz did blank, but then an assist for Salah. You got the ball recovery points from Fabinho, and then the clean sheet and ball recovery points from Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, as well as Alisson. And that's why I really liked having these two goalkeepers, Ederson and Alisson. You're almost guaranteed a clean sheet from either one of them. I'm not sure if that will be the case in the second leg because both teams are away, and Villarreal and Real Madrid are definitely capable of scoring a goal or two. Now, as for Danjuma, he's been amazing for me all season, but he has blanked now in the last two games. He missed good chances against Bayern Munich. Against Liverpool, he didn't really have a sniff, and Villarreal were very defensive in that game. They should be a bit more adventurous in the second game, and if they are, you would suspect Liverpool will catch them on the counter-attack. Diaz with 3 points. I was so close to getting John Stones, and luckily I did go for Diaz. I got 2 extra points as a result, and also now I have a bit more flexibility, although I will talk about a certain defender that I really want into my team heading into the second leg of the semi-finals. And that's pretty much the kind of broad overview. I was quite lucky to nail down the captaincy, so even if I captained Benzema, I would have kept the armband on him. I just don't think it's worth risking it too much, even for someone like Salah, because there's never a guarantee that they will score the goals or get the points you need to outscore your original captain. So very, very important, I think it is, to nail down the original captain on the Tuesday, so then you don't really have to worry about it later on. Now, heading into the final, that will be different because you only have one starting 11, you've only got one shot, you've only got one captain, and you have to nail that down to a T. I don't think I've done that in the last 2 seasons. And, for example, in the first one where I played Bayern Munich, won the Champions League, Koeman scored the winning goal. I didn't even have him in my team. And then last year, Kai Havertz, I didn't have him in my team, for example. And I really backed City to win that. So there's kind of different things you could say. But ultimately, I'm happy with this starting 11 and even the entire squad. But with free transfers, I've got a few ideas of what I could do. But first, let me show you my team selection without any transfers and also what my captaincy thoughts are. As always, remember to put those Wednesday players on your bench. It's very important that you do that and that you captain a player playing on the Tuesday, and then you can switch that captaincy if needed to someone playing on the Wednesday. So be sure to do all of that. Sometimes, some people aren't aware of it or they're new to the game, and it's very, very important because you can gain extra points from these simple steps. Now, Salah's going to be my original captain, I think, on the Tuesday, even with transfers coming in. I'm pretty sure of that. Then on the Wednesday, probably the same thing. I think I'd go for Kevin De Bruyne or Karim Benzema, but I would favour the home player. And with Benzema's form, it's very hard to look past him. So I think I'd go for Salah first day, Benzema second day. Let me know down in the comment section below which one you would go for. And let's get this video to 100 likes. And also, let's get to 11,000 subscribers. We can definitely do that. But in terms of the forward line, I'm relatively happy with it, all things considered. But we've got the Liverpool versus Villarreal lineups before the deadline. And if Jota starts over Diaz, for example, that is a very simple switch that I can do. And I'll talk about this later on in the transfer section. As for Gabriel Jesus, we're not going to really get any inclination or inkling about whether he's going to start or not. It's just based on our gut feeling and our assumptions. So that is a bit of a shame. So he could be a bit of a risk. And ultimately, if he is benched, that is certainly not ideal, and my squad depth would be reduced as a result. As for the rest though, you would suspect the usual suspects to start, like Benzema, De Bruyne, Salah, etc., especially after, for example, Trent and Salah were benched against Newcastle in game week 35 of the Premier League. So you would expect them to start this game against Villarreal, and Liverpool can't really afford to bench too many players, because if they do and they put a second string team out, they could easily get beat by Villarreal, despite how good their squad depth is. Fabinho I'm quite happy with. I think he's the best ball recoverer left in the competition, even over the likes of Casemiro, who should be back for the second leg against Man City, and also Rodri, who I just don't think is as consistent with the ball recoveries. And Fabinho got 6 points overall, which is pretty much the equivalent to Salah, who got an assist. So that is absolutely crazy as well, and also the clean sheet point for Salah. As for Danjuma, I'm quite put off him at the moment, and he is at home. And if anyone will perform for Villarreal, I would expect it to be Danjuma and possibly Lo Celso. I think they are the biggest threats for the Spanish side, but I would still be quite tempted to move him on to a City midfielder, and perhaps I should have done so to maybe a Phil Foden or a Bernardo Silva heading into matchday 11. So that's something I would consider. As for the defence, I'm very happy with it, but Joao Cancelo, for me, the best UCL fantasy asset this season, he is missing, and I would really like to get him back into my team. I obviously got rid of him because he was suspended heading into matchday 11. Very happy with the goalkeepers. For now, I'm not looking to change that. Heading into the final, potentially getting rid of one of them and just sticking with one goalkeeper, of course, and using that extra money to then invest into the starting 11. That's something I would look to do, but for now there's no need to really change anything. So at the moment I've got Ederson, Modric, Diaz and Eder Militao on my bench, but it doesn't really matter. It could be any other City or Madrid player. Just be sure, do not have any Liverpool or Villarreal players on your bench, and be sure to captain one of those. So a Liverpool or Villarreal player on the Tuesday, and then during the substitution window you can change it about. But now let me show you my transfer plans, although I haven't actually finalized all of my free transfers, and a lot of it depends on the lineup we get during the deadline stream. As you can see, I've used 2 of the free transfers available to me, but I still need 0.1 million more in order to actually be able to pull through with these moves. Now, Phil Foden could come in for Danjuma, and another possibility is someone like Bernardo Silva, for example. Now, what I'm really set on doing is getting Joao Cancelo in, and probably for Ruben Diaz, who is the most expensive defender that I have other than the Liverpool fullback. So between Laporte and Diaz, despite Diaz being slightly better for ball recoveries per minute or per 90, I would rather get rid of Diaz and keep Laporte, who has been very consistent throughout the knockout stages. Eder Militao, to be fair, is maybe someone I could consider. I don't like Real Madrid defensively, but I also like the fact that I have someone there just in case Real Madrid get a clean sheet, or maybe if Eder Militao scores a goal, which is definitely possible. He is quite good from set pieces. So I'm actually quite set on that, getting Joao Cancelo in for one of my defenders. Most probably it would be for Ruben Diaz. And then Phil Foden or Bernardo Silva could come in for Danjuma. Let me know what you think of this. And what would my final transfer be if I decide to pull through with all 3 transfers? I think it would be either Luis Diaz making way for Diego Jota if the Portuguese international starts, and the other possibility is if Robertson is benched. I have a suspicion that Robertson will be benched in one of the double game week 36 fixtures in FPL. If not, it could be here on the Tuesday against Villarreal, where Tsimikas comes in, because he's a very good understudy, a very good replacement. I don't think Liverpool would be affected too much by that substitution or move. So if Robertson doesn't start, I can make a little move like Robertson to Kanate. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment, because I look across the team. Karim Benzema, no, I'm never going to get rid of him. Kevin De Bruyne, Salah, no. Fabinho, not really. Trent and Robertson, if they start, probably wouldn't get rid of them. And Laporte even, quite happy to keep him. Ederson and Alisson, no chance, to be honest. Gabriel Jesus is someone I could consider, but then I'm not really a big fan of the other options. And for example, if I keep all of my Liverpool players, I wouldn't be able to do Gabriel Jesus to Diego Jota, for example, if there is a situation where both Jota and Diaz start like they did in the Premier League against Newcastle. So there's quite a lot to think about. But ultimately, I'm going to have to look at the lineups before finalising these transfers. I can't really give you a definitive answer, even in this team selection video, as much as I'd like to, because a lot could change. So what I would recommend to anyone who is still yet to make a transfer, do not make them. Wait for the lineups, and then with more information, you can then proceed and finalize your transfers. Obviously, have a plan and, try to think of different possibilities and scenarios depending on if Robertson's benched or Jota, Diaz, etc. But ultimately, wait for the deadlines and then finalize your transfers. Once again, I'd very much appreciate if you have any thoughts or comments about my team selection and also your own. If you've got any queries, questions or comments, thoughts on the captaincy, any interesting ideas or differentials, then be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. There's going to be a best wildcard and limitless team video rolled into one very soon, so check that out, as well as a best free hit team for Game Week 36, the biggest double game week in FPL across the whole season. That should be very good. There could be some huge swings there as well. There's also F1 Fantasy content on the channel, so check out the team selection video ahead of Miami in race week 5, as well as a how to play guide. If you're new to F1 Fantasy, I think that video should assist with all of your queries and any kind of problems you may have with the game, and maybe a few question marks that you may have. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy the football and the Champions League. All the best of luck for Matchday 12. Hopefully you get a green arrow and get the rank you want whilst enjoying the game, most importantly of all. And I'll see you next time.